Rain drummed softly on the roof of our weekend cabin, a gentle rhythm mimicking the slow spiral of my thoughts. The fire cracked in the corner, giving warmth that never quite reached my chest anymore. I sat in the leather armchair, my usual place, watching her. Nora, my wife, my enigma. She stood at the kitchen island, radiant under amber lights, pouring wine for our guests. Her laughter floated effortlessly, sweet, charming, deadly. Her red dress clung lovingly to her hips, swaying with each effortless movement. I didn't recognize the man who used to trace those curves with hungry fingertip. That man was buried somewhere beneath this polite, mute figure I had become. People cheered, drank, joked. I watched. I always watched. Then she said it. Loudly. Carelessly. Like tossing glass at a wall. My husband? Just a silent observer in bed. Laughter exploded around the room like fireworks. My smile stayed pasted on. Inside, something cracked, quietly. No one noticed. Across the room, Leo caught my eye. He had that half-smirk again. Like he knew a secret I hadn't yet figured out. Leo, the best man at our wedding. Leo, the one always too friendly, too familiar. His hand lingered on her lower back too long. His gaze dropped to places it shouldn't have. I noticed. I always noticed. I poured bourbon, too much. Swallowed hard. The burn helped. Slightly. The party rolled on. Nora danced barefoot near the fire. Eyes closed. Carefree. Dangerous. Her laugh rang through the wood-paneled room like a siren. Tempting. I watched every sway of her body, every look she threw Leo. I saw it all. At some point, Nora vanished upstairs. 5 minutes later, Leo excused himself. Bathroom, he said. No one questioned. No one ever did. I waited. Exactly 13 minutes. I know because I counted. 13 minutes of chatter, of feigned interest in conversations about stock portfolios and ski resorts. Then I stood. I walked up those stairs like a man heading to the gallows. Each step slower than the last. The hallway was dark, shadows stretching like fingers. Our bedroom door sat slightly ajar. Soft whispers floated through the gap. A moan followed. Not hers. I pushed the door gently. Didn't make a sound. My hands trembled, but I kept them in my pockets. Always composed. Always watching. There they were. Entangled. Raw. Honest in a way we hadn't been in years. She didn't notice me. Neither did he. Not at first. When she finally looked up, something flickered in her gaze. Not fear, not guilt. Something crueler. Satisfaction. I turned. Quietly. Closed the door behind me. Went back downstairs. Picked up my bourbon. Laughed when someone told a joke I didn't hear. Became invisible again. But that night, while the house slept, I stood by the lake. Cold wind slicing through my thin shirt. Moonlight bounced off the black water like silver promises. I thought of her laugh. Of Leo's hand on her skin. Of my silence. And I made a decision. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. Morning greeted me with sharp sunlight slashing through the curtains, landing on empty sheets beside me. Her scent remained vanilla, smoke, betrayal. I lay still, absorbing the silence. Downstairs, coffee brewed, cups clinked, voices murmured. The house exhaled life while I prepared to dismantle mine. I walked into the kitchen. Nora, radiant in a silk robe, stirred cream into her mug. Leo wasn't there. Of course not. Cowards vanish before confrontation can rise. Sleep well? She asked without looking. Fine, I lied. She turned, leaned against the counter, arms folded. Big night, she said. Her smirk dripped with venom disguised as charm. I nodded. Heard some laughter. She shrugged. You always hear things. But do you ever speak? That was her favorite game. Strip me without touching, cut me without blades. But this time, I smiled. I think I might start. Her brow arched. She said nothing, and the moment ended as quickly as it came. The guests left gradually, unaware of the thunder rumbling beneath our polished floorboards. Nora played host effortlessly. Hugged. Kisses. Fake concern. My fingers twitched each time Leo's name came up. He hadn't said goodbye. Later, I found his watch on our nightstand. A bold token. A trophy. Or maybe a taunt. I pocketed it. By evening, Nora was lounging on the couch, legs folded, reading something forgettable. I sat beside her. She didn't move. Do you love him? I asked suddenly. She didn't flinch. Just turned a page. Define love. I stared at her, searching for the woman I married. The girl who once cried watching documentaries. The girl who sang off-key. Gone. In her place, this creature. Sharp. Beautiful. Poisonous. I saw you, I said. She finally looked up. And? You expected me to rage, I said. Scream. Leave. Beg. No, she replied. I expected nothing. That's the problem. I stood. Then let's change the script. She laughed. Not loud. Not mocking. Intrigued. I went to our room, packed a bag. Not mine. Hers. When I returned, she was still reading. You're going to stay at your sister's, I said. You're kicking me out? No, I said calmly. I'm giving you space. For clarity. Clarity. I leaned down, whispered near her ear, so I can decide whether I want to burn this house down with you in it or just the bed you cheated in. She blinked. Something flickered. Fear? Excitement? Lust? With her, lines blurred easily. She left that night. No fight. Just a lingering gaze at the door, as though wondering if I'd chase her. I didn't. Once alone, I moved methodically. Sheets, stripped, burned. Mattress, dump. Photos, shredded. Except one, our wedding picture. I kept that. To remember. I stared at her smile in that photo, so warm, so false. Then, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Madeline, I said. A pause. Is this? Yes. It's me. You sound different. I am. She laughed softly. About time. Madeline, artist, wild heart, firestorm I once let slip through my fingers. She had wanted me then, body and soul. I gave her neither. We met the next day. Cafe by the marina. She wore yellow, sunlight wrapped in fabric. Her smile real. Her eyes fierce. No apologies in her posture. Still the observer? She teased, sipping espresso. Not anymore. She tilted her head, intrigue. What happened? My wife happened. That'll do it. We talked. Hours passed like minutes. I remembered how her hands moved when she got passionate. I remembered the birthmark on her collarbone. I remembered everything. She leaned in. Why now? Because I'm done being wallpaper in my own life. Her smile widened. I like this version of you. That night, I kissed her. In the alley behind the cafe. Rain falling. Her lips tasted like liberation. No hesitation. No guilt. Just fire. When we broke apart, she whispered, You sure? Never been surer. We got a room nearby. Cheap. Dusty. Perfect. She pulled me inside, undressed like it was war, not romance. My hands rediscovered places they'd forgotten. She moaned my name like it belonged to her. It did. I didn't just make love. I reclaimed something. Myself. Afterward, we lay tangled in sweaty sheets. She traced my chest lazily. You still thinking about her? Yes, I said. Why? Because now I know what I was missing. Madeline kissed my shoulder. You're not going back, are you? I didn't answer. But I knew. Something had begun. And something else was about to end. 3 days passed before Nora called. Her name lit up my screen at 2:13 a.m. I let it ring. Then again at 2:15. Again. I answered the third time. You're awake, she said, her voice smoky, like she'd been drinking or crying, or both. I was. Silence stretched, awkward between us for the first time in years. You sound different, she finally said. I leaned against the window, looking at the moon slicing through my blinds. I am. Where are you? Not your concern anymore. A sharp breath. Then venom. So you found someone? Didn't need to look. She never left. Nora laughed bitterly. Madeline? You called Madeline? Surprised you remember her. I remember all your almost. You married the safe one, me. Yeah, I said slowly. I married the lie. Click. She hung up. I stood there, the cold air wrapping around my bare chest, her echo still rattling in my ears. The next morning, she stood outside my apartment door. No call. No warning. Red coat. Dark lipstick. Dagger eyes. You've got 10 minutes, she said, brushing past me. Inside she paced. I sat. Calm. Watching. Always watching. You're angry, she said. No. Just awake now. I miss you. No, you miss control. That stopped her. I stood, walked toward her slowly. You called me a silent observer in front of a dozen people. You opened your body to another man in our bed. You handed him the map to what used to be mine. Her lips parted. No words came. I continued, voice steady. But I should thank you. She frowned. For what? For pushing me off the edge. She took a step forward. I want to fix this. You can't, I said. She reached out. Her fingers brushed my arm. Don't you still love me? Somewhere inside, I said honestly. But that part's bleeding out. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't care if you did. And then she kissed me. Hard. Like she could erase the past with teeth and tongue. For a moment, my hands betrayed me. They found her waist, pulled her close. Memory is a seductive liar. But I stopped. I slept with her, I said quietly. She froze. I know, she whispered. That stung. You expected it? I hoped for it. That knocked the wind from me. Why? She pulled back. Because I wanted to see if you had anything left inside. You've been fading for years. I stared at her, horrified. So this was all some game? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I walked to the door. Opened it. She stood there a second, then leaned close, lips brushing my ear. She was a test. You passed. So now what? Now, I said, staring into her eyes. Now I fail you back. She left, clicking down the hall in sharp heels, scent of her perfume lingering like an insult. Madeline called later. How'd it go? She asked. I told her everything. She laughed. That's twisted. She wanted you to cheat. I nodded. To wake me up. She poked a sleeping beast. Madeline invited me over again. That night was different. Rougher. Desperate. Less about passion, more about punishment. She scratched, bit, left marks. I welcomed them. Every bruise a declaration. Every gasp a confession. Afterward, she traced the one on my chest. You needed this. I needed you. She smiled, leaned down. Then let me have you. For weeks, I vanished into her world. Late nights, jazz bars, paint-stained mornings. She showed me who I could have been, if I'd chosen fire instead of frost. But Nora kept showing up. Text messages. Voicemails. Letters. Always in that same perfume. Always in red. I ignored them all. Until one showed up in my mailbox. A single Polaroid. Of her. Naked. Alone. Sitting on our wedding bed. Back arched, legs spread, wedding ring between her lips. The note read, You still watching? The photo sat in my lap for hours. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. The sun rose, stained the walls gold. Her body, frozen in that image, burned into my vision like a ghost that refused to leave. I didn't call her. Didn't text. Didn't breathe right for a full day. Madeline noticed. She always did. You look haunted, she said, pouring coffee into mismatched mugs. She sent a picture. Her jaw tensed. Of what? Herself. She sipped slowly, silent for a beat. What does she want? Control, I said. Attention. Me. She had you. She ruined that. I stared at the steam rising between us. Maybe I let her. Madeline touched my knee. No. She trained you to stay silent. Conditioned you to accept crumbs and call it love. And now you bite back. That night, I drove back to the lake house. Alone. Not to return. To end it. The place smelled like old whiskey and pine. I left the lights off. Walked through the darkness like it was mine. Memories echoed from every corner. Laughter that never reached me. Kisses that were really lies. Apologies I never received. I went to our old bedroom. Laid the photo on the bed. Lit a match. Watched her burn. Her eyes, her mouth, her pose, curling into smoke. When it was done, I opened the windows, letting the cold wind swallow the ashes. Then I heard the door. She walked in like she still owned it. No knock. No permission. Just confidence. Red coat again. Always red. You came, she said, seeing the empty fireplace, the blackened edges of the photo. I had to. She stepped closer. Why didn't you answer me? Because you don't get to set the terms anymore. You still love me. I didn't respond. She reached out, slowly. Even now, I see it. I let her touch my chest. I see it in your eyes, she whispered. Maybe, I said. But it doesn't mean you win. She leaned in. Her breath warm against my cheek. Then let me lose like this. She kissed me. Soft. Slow. A whisper of the beginning. And for 1 second the world stopped. Then I pulled away. I slept with her again, I said. Yesterday. In the studio. On the paint-stained floor. Her lips parted. I saw it, cracks in her armor. You didn't used to talk like this, she said. I didn't used to know what power felt like. Her voice turned sharp. So now you're what? The villain? No. The narrator. And what does the narrator do now? I smiled. He writes the ending. I walked past her. Downstairs. Into the kitchen. Pulled out the wine she always saved for special occasions. The one she said was for when we feel alive again. I poured 1 glass. Just one. Set it on the counter. I'm not drinking? She asked from the doorway. No. You're leaving. She blinked. I pointed at the door. You don't get the last word. I never needed it, she said, stepping toward me. I had you. I knew you. I looked her dead in the eyes. You never did. You knew my silence. Not my mind. She stopped. Cold. Exposed. I moved past her again, up the stairs to the attic. There, I found the box I'd hidden for years. Inside, notebooks, scribbles, thoughts never voiced. Rage, love, resentment, poetry. All of me. I carried it down. Dropped it at her feet. My story, I said. You don't get to be in the next chapters. She stared down, then up. Then I hope she's worth it. She is. Because she doesn't need to break me to see me. Nora picked up her coat. Slowly. No theatrics. At the door, she turned. You'll miss me. Maybe, I said. But not enough. She left. No slam. No scream. Just gone. I stood there a long time. Listening to the silence. Not the kind that used to smother me. The kind that finally felt like peace. Later, I called Madeline. Over? She asked. Finished, I said. Where are you now? Coming home. She laughed, soft and surprised. Home? Yeah, I said. To someone who doesn't need to laugh at me in front of strangers to feel loved. She waited a beat. Then, quietly, I've got wine. Perfect. I've got stories.